7 o'clock, so I am going to call this meeting to order. Oh, we have to do swearing in, right?
I did it.
Oh, I missed
So
it.
you're good to go.
Okay, never mind. Okay, so it is 7 o'clock still. And I'll call this meeting to order. And can we get a roll call, please?
Sure. Hurst,
Here.
Wines,
Here.
Link,
Here.
Millenbridge?
Here.
Sorry. Hartranft,
Here.
Robler,
Here.
Steele,
Here.
Dick,
Here.
Horn.
Here.
All right. Item 3 on our agenda is the minutes approval. You received a copy of the minutes of our last meeting, December 11th, 2025, which was a special meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Is there
I'll second.
a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right. Next item is public hearing, PC-01-26, 1013 North Bridge Street rezoning request. I'll hand it over to Adam.
Yep, I'd be glad to provide a background on this item. This is a request submitted for 1013 North Bridge Street, and the applicant is Noah Morgan. So the request is to rezone the property from the current zoning designation, which is local service district, to the R3 single-family residential district. So this property, it's located on the west side of North Bridge Street, just north of the track, just north of the Sloan's sales and service operation. There's a residential structure on the property, and it's currently being used for residential use. It's according to the applicant, is a single-family dwelling at present. It's a small property, 8,145 square feet in size. And according to the applicant, in the materials that were submitted, the structure has been occupied for residential use for, they say, over 125 years. And as of right now, it's being occupied for single-family residential use. So the local service district is a commercial and office designation, and it presently does not allow single-family dwellings as a principal permitted use. So the single-family use of that property per the zoning ordinance is considered a non-conforming use. And so the purpose of the rezoning, according to the application, of course the applicant is here to speak on the request as well, is to change it to the R3 district so that it is no longer a non-conforming use. There are some, this isn't a zoning thing, this is a mortgage thing, so apparently some mortgage companies, if you're looking to secure a mortgage on a non-conforming use, there could be some issues or concerns on the part of the mortgage company because there are restrictions in the zoning ordinance on non-conforming uses, such that if there was if the home was destroyed by a tornado or something like that, according to our zoning ordinance, it could be rebuilt, but it couldn't be occupied for that non-conforming use. Once that kind of use is removed in that sense, it can't be reestablished. If this was rezoned to the R3 district, then it's a permitted use, not a non-conforming use. And if something like that were to happen, it could be rebuilt, and so mortgage companies, for example, don't have a concern in that instance. The procedure this evening for any rezoning is that a public hearing is held. There have been notices there was a notice that was published in the paper and notices that were sent to all properties within 300 feet indicating that you can come tonight or submit written correspondence to be heard during the public hearing. The applicant has, and it's the applicant's right as a property owner to submit conditions in exchange for the rezoning of their property. So they may, according to state law, voluntarily offer conditions associated with the rezoning. The applicant has chosen to do this, so they are offering the following condition. It's stated in their letter, which is included in your packet that was dated December 15th. It says, The property is currently used as a duplex and if rezoned, would only be utilized as a duplex or single-family residence. So that's the condition that they're offering. The city ultimately may choose to accept that condition as part of this rezoning request. The Planning Commission is a recommending body for any rezoning. So the Planning Commission's role is to open the public hearing, hear public comment, close the public hearing, and then you'll notice that later on the agenda, there's an item for deliberation on this request. And the Planning Commission's role, ultimately, it could be tonight, or it could be at a subsequent meeting, is to make a recommendation and send that recommendation to the City Council. And the City Council, at a regular meeting, would make the final decision, yes or no. They could listen to your recommendation and agree with it, or they could make a different decision than what your recommendation is, but that would be up to the council. So that's why we're here this evening. That's what the public hearing is about. So at this point in the agenda, it's appropriate to open the public hearing, allow for the applicant to speak, allow for citizens in the audience to speak, and then close the public hearing, and then we'll come back to this item later on the agenda.
Thank you, Ed. Do we want to have people just speak from their seats? I see we don't have a podium tonight, so is that fine? Okay. Okay, so it is 7:06 p.m. We'll open the public hearing at 7:06. Now, I guess we can hear first from the applicant and then ask for residents to come up. Is that fine? Okay.
Completely up to you. The
You
board,
can
whatever
just
you guys want to do.
from there, that's fine.
Yeah, thank you for entertaining the request for rezoning. Again, I know in the letter that the property's been used as a residential property since it was built in the 1900s, early 1900s. We've owned it since 2015. We've had the property rented out since 2015. We had actually on a land contract where we accepted the property back and continued to rent it back to some residents in the area. One time we did have utilized as a duplex because it is metered for an upstairs and a downstairs. So it has separate gas, separate electricity. It's built as a duplex. We've had really good renters. We tried to list the property about 3 or 4 years ago. Upon getting an accepted offer, they went to go get a mortgage. The mortgage company says, no, we're not going to write a mortgage on it. So we took it off the property, rented it out again. We were happy with renting it out again. We did some light updates to it about 2 years ago, had a renter. Unfortunately, the renters moved out due to some medical issues. And my wife and I are kind of just looking at each other like, we got 3 kids. We want the property to be owned by a family that wants to raise their family in Linden. And in order for us to sell it again, somebody get a mortgage, it would have to be rezoned as a single family or multifamily use property, which is R3 in this city. I did kind of try to find some history on the local service district. I wasn't able to find much. That was probably a master plan update that a board like this did, whether it be 5, 10 years ago. But a lot of properties along Bridge Street, downtown area got bunched into a rezone by the city or a master plan update that affected, single family homes. So their property is currently in Linden, and if they burn down, that, they can't be rebuilt as a single family home, according to some mortgage company. So I think it's a larger concern than it's just property. At the last city council meeting, there was a resident that had a similar issue, but hers was an R2 and it was a multifamily, so she was trying to get it rezoned to an R3. This being a multifamily property, R3 would be the most appropriate zoning request for that. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And we have a couple well, we've got public comment cards this time. Just go by those to start. Would I save those until we get to the new business?
If they were on this agenda item, then they should be heard during the public hearing.
All right, so the first one is I think Scott Ward at 504. And I guess you can stay at your seat too.
Oh, okay.
Either way.
Well, we might have the wrong Scott. There's 2 here. My name's Scott Ward, 602 Silver Lake Court. You won't be able to see my house right now because it's camouflaged by the staging area for the Lath Trail. That there is a house there. I sat right where you guys were. I was on the planning commission for years. I was been quite a few years ago, but I was involved in writing the master plan. It's been updated since then, and so I know right what we're talking about here. But I'm also the chairman of the ZBA here in Linden, and we have a lot of non-conforming uses. And you have that when you're in an old town, because things aren't cookie cutter. This is definitely a house, someone's living in it, and it just happens to be in an area where there could be a businesses. But it's not unique, because this happens all over town. When you're living in an old town, there's a party store in the middle of a residential. There's a house next to the funeral home that's in the central business district. I'm part of the Linden Presbyterian Church, and right next door, we have a family living there in the business district. So this happens in an old town. If you were starting a new town, and you no way would have a residential house right in the middle of a business district. But we're in an old town, and you wouldn't believe the things that come to our ZBA, that a house is built right on the boundary line, and so we have to be flexible. And I think that's what we have to be. It's definitely a house. It happens to be somewhat by a business district, but basically it's kind of a transition area. It's not right in the middle. It's kind of a transition area between businesses and residential. So I don't see, in my opinion, any problem why that can't be a residential house. That's all I have.
Thank you. And then also,
The other Scott.
Scott.
I think they said it all, 125 years, it's been a house, a residential property. Can't call a cat a dog, it's a house, right? So, I think it should be zoned R3. Obviously, it's a duplex, so I think that's the most appropriate use. Is there other ways that could accommodate this in the upcoming kind of zoning language changes? Probably, but like for the here and now, I think this makes the most sense. So I think there's probably other examples of houses, maybe not trying to sell now, but in our community that would come into the same problem. So we want to alleviate it for them too, if that comes to the board as well. Thank you.
Are there any other residents who'd like to speak on this topic?
And there were no other correspondence for this.
Thank you. So seeing that there are no other comments, we will close the public hearing at 7:12 p.m. And we will come back to this topic again in our new business. Okay. Thank you. Moving on, we have public comment on non-agenda items only. Any person wishing to address the Planning Commission on non-agenda items only are asked to state their name and address for the record, and limit comments to 5 minutes or 10 minutes if representing a group of persons. Opportunity will be given to address the Planning Commission on agenda items as they are called on the agenda. So any non-agenda item public comments?
This is only a suggestion, and I know it would probably be better answered by the police department, but I had a suggestion. When our trail gets finished, whenever that is, I would like to see Silver Lake Court, which is a small road, 2 cars can't go through it. A garbage truck can't go one way and a car go the other way. It's not a 66-foot road, it's a lane. There's no culverts or drainage or anything. It's a small road with one house on it. I would like to suggest a research having a one-way in, one-way, so 2 cars can't go in there. And I would suggest it coming in by the water tower, coming that way and going out, heading east. Suggestion, if we could research it, I'm not sure if you're the people to talk to about it, but I think it'd be better, as more traffic gets there, to be a one-way road. It's awful congested right now. Garbage trucks coming one way, cars are going the other way. People are pulling off on my lawn because they can't go by. It's a small road. I don't want it a bigger road, but I think it'd be better to make it a one-way, my thought anyways.
Thank you. Any other public comments on non-agenda items? Seeing no other comments, we will move on to item 6, communications. Are there any communications?
None.
Okay. All right. Item 7 is unfinished business, but seeing no unfinished business, we'll move on to new business. Item 8, new business, PC-02-26, welcome of new commissioners and election of officers.
So we do have some new commissioners. You may want to take the opportunity to get to know, I don't know, however you want to do that. Ultimately, once you get through that, you will need to elect a chair and vice chair of the planning commission. This is something, this is outlined in your planning commission bylaws. The officers of the planning commission include a chairperson, a vice chairperson. The chairperson shall be one of the appointed members of the commission. So there are a couple folks on the commission who are on the planning commission because they're an elected official and they're also on city council. So the chairperson cannot be one of the elected officials. So the chairperson must be one of the appointed members, so that's everyone else. The vice chair, that isn't the case. The vice chair could be any of the members here. But otherwise, the chair and the vice chair are elected by just a majority vote of the commission, and then once you do that, that person should take the role right away. Because right now, I know Aaron, you were the vice chair, and you're because the chair was not reappointed, so there will be a new chair here. So that whoever the chair is will be taking over the kind of the order of the remainder of tonight's meeting, essentially. But we do have the staff has put together a welcome packet for the new planning commission members. If you haven't taken a look at that, please do browse through that. Even if you're not been on the commission for a little bit, it's good to peruse through that. We also shared in that packet some general information. We're here to support you in any way, so please do reach out to Nicole or myself or Ellen at any time. In particular, if you have questions about the meeting, call us the day of if you want, but get a hold of us in advance. We'd be glad to go through it. It'll certainly, we hope that our answers to your questions will help you in your role. And there's also training opportunities and programs, links to resources that is included in the packet as well. So I hope you take advantage of that and just take advantage of us as your team that's helping you do the job to the best that you can. So.
All right, thank you. I'd like to put on my teacher hat just for a moment, and if we can go and do introductions, just our name and maybe if possible, how long if we know how long we've been on planning commission, just put names to faces, and we can start down here with Brad on the left.
Brad Dick, city councilor, started out on the planning commission in 2008.
Jim Hurst, I've been on the planning commission for 1 year and a resident of the city for 20 years.
Matt Mullenrich, on the council last year, 25. I've lived in Linden my whole life.
Philip Steele, been on the commission for about a year and a half, and I've been a Linden resident since 2015.
Aaron Wines, I've been on the planning commission, I think, 7 years, with a 2-year gap where I served on city council for a brief partial term.
John Hartranft, this is my second term on the planning commission. I'm also the chair of the Historic District Commission and the liaison from this commission to the Historic District Commission.
I'm Cody Robler, and I've been on the planning commission for 1 year.
Jerry Link, I'm on city council and I've been on the planning commission 20 minutes. Yeah.
George Horn, I've been on the planning commission for 20 minutes.
All right, thank you. So I guess we'll just begin by opening it up for nominations of chairperson of the planning commission. Are there any?
Aaron Wines.
I support that nomination.
Yeah.
I love the smile on your face for that. So Okay, and then I have to, if I'll accept that
Would you like to
nomination?
accept?
Okay. I will accept that nomination. Am I able to also make a nomination of somebody that I think would be good at it as well? I think
Yes.
John would make a good chairperson as well.
Well, I appreciate that thought, but I think my plate's as full as I want to go with the Historic District Commission as it is.
You had that ready.
I do. Yeah. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Are there any other nominations? Okay.
I think this would be a simple, just a, so it was moved and seconded, so I think a voice vote would be fine for this.
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor, I have to say myself, all in favor of appointing me the chairperson of the planning commission, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Next up, we will nominate, accept nominations for vice chairperson of the planning commission.
I would nominate Cody.
I'll second that.
I'll accept it.
Are there any other nominations? Okay. All right, seeing no other nominations, I think we can just do, okay. So all in favor of nominating, or of appointing Cody as the vice chairperson, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right. Thank you. Okay. We will move on to item B on here, which is PC-01-26, which is the 1013 North Bridge Street rezoning request.
Okay, so back to this same item here, the conditional rezoning request. So I will, in the staff report that you have, I do want to point out kind of what you would base your recommendation on. So in the zoning ordinance, for any conditional rezoning request, the zoning ordinance outlines 4 review standards that you should take a look at and use as a basis for your recommendation to the council, for or against. The 4 standards, I'll just read them to you. The first one is whether the proposed rezoning is consistent with the goals, policies, and future land use map of the city's master plan. Second, the compatibility of the potential uses allowed in the proposed zoning district with the surrounding land uses and zoning districts in terms of land suitability, impacts on the environment, density, and influence on property values. Third is whether any public services and facilities would be significantly adversely impacted by a development or use allowed under the requested rezoning. Consideration of impact on drains and roads is specifically required. And then fourth, whether the uses allowed under the proposed rezoning would be equally or better suited to the area than the uses allowed under the current zoning of the land. So we do have for you, ultimately, if you are ready to make a recommendation tonight, we do have a template. So that is the second page of my staff report to you. So if you want to flag that for if somebody does want to make a recommendation this evening. So it would kind of contain the necessary framework for your motion. And I would just encourage you, and whether it's a motion to recommend approve or recommend denial, that you should make that motion with regard to the standards, those 4 standards. If it's a recommendation to approve, for example, then you would say because it satisfies the 4 standards. Or if it's a recommendation to denial, it's because you find one or more of those standards that it doesn't satisfy. So make sure to document the basis behind your recommendation, and the basis should be based on those 4 standards. So we did provide in your packet a kind of a more detailed review letter. That's the Wade Trim letter dated December 29th. we took a kind of closer evaluation of existing conditions in the area. We also took a look at the master plan. So I did want to mention a couple of points there. So the master plan, it was adopted in 2023. It does show these properties on the west side of North Bridge Street here in this kind of North Bridge Street business district for future office use. And the master plan does talk about this. This use is accommodating low-intensity, single-story office uses, professional offices, medical, dental, finance, personal services, things of that nature. And some of the former residential properties, clearly they were at some point residential properties on North Bridge Street, have in fact, some of them do have like an office use on the ground floor with, maybe an upper story residential use, or maybe, I guess I'm not sure, it's hard to tell in some cases, maybe the entire structure has been, dedicated to an office or something like that. But this is part of that business district, and the master plan shows this property as being a part of the business district and contributing to the character of the business district in the long term, certainly. But the master plan also outlines goals and objectives, kind of narrative statements about the future of the community. I did list a few that I felt maybe were pertinent to this. The master plan does certainly talk about wanting to provide varied and quality residential opportunities for citizens. The master plan does support affordable housing opportunities consistent with market conditions. But it also wants to retain existing businesses. It also wants to promote the development of new businesses in the city. And it does talk about any new commercial or mixed-use development. It suggests considering upper floors for resident populations. So the master plan does kind of speak to wanting to have upper floor residential uses. But the master plan doesn't speak specifically to like ground floor residential uses in a business district. So just some findings that we had noted for your consideration. Maybe that might help you speak to the four standards that you have. I mean, clearly the residential use has been there for quite some time. And so down zoning, the owner wanting to down zone isn't going to really result in a change, especially if they offer the conditions that they're offering where it was just a single family or duplex use. It's not going to change the character of the area, or you would assume that wouldn't be the case. But we do have to recognize that in the long term, the city's goal is for this particular property, this residential structure, to maybe be converted to a mixed use with commercial, office, local service on the ground floor, and maybe upper story residential, or just converted entirely to an office use. So the proposed, and then I guess the other finding is that the proposed rezoning to the R3 district, you can't say that it accomplishes that long-term goal of office or mixed use within that business district. But you could maybe consider conditional R3 district zoning at this location, maybe as a short-term solution to kind of allow for the owner to continue to have it as a single-family residential until such time as market demand maybe would suggest that it's time, or that the market dictates that office or local service or commercial at that location. And then of course, the applicant or the property owner at that time could petition the city to go back to local service or commercial use. And so that's something that you could consider in that regard. I think maybe it's worth some questions to the applicant about the market demand, and maybe have they tried to sell it for commercial use, and has that resulted in any feedback? I assume maybe that hasn't been the case because they're here in front of us with this request, but that should maybe be something that the applicant can clarify. The only other thing that I'll say is that in the applicant's letter, where they outline that condition, that December 15th letter, again, their condition, they say that the property is currently used as a duplex, and if rezoned, would only be utilized as a duplex or single-family residence. I think maybe that condition ought to be revised Because I heard the applicant say that it's not being used as a duplex right now, it's being used as a single family. There's just one unit in that structure. I believe
No.
that's what the applicant had said, or maybe that's
We
not the
rented it to
case.
one family,
Ah,
so they had their older kids upstairs, but they still have two separate meter bills.
I see.
I mean, there's a separate locked door and access.
Is it truly, there's two separate units?
Correct.
Okay.
There's two addresses with the city.
Okay. Okay, that's what I have for you. If you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to try and
It
answer.
could be converted easily back to a single family, so we got down zoning.
So, is there anything else you'd like to add to it, based on?
Oh, I do have a question. If the, I mean, you guys have done a lot of work to have a major update to your ordinance and zoning. Is it possible that if you did a rezone on this, and then later on the proposed changes that you had outlined, the 180-page document to the city council, like if they approved that, this would sit outside of that, I believe. And so, is it possible that the city could come in at some time again in the future, do a master plan update and rezone it? If it was rezoned today, without a meeting like this?
Sure, I could speak to that. Please.
So this is your request, your rezoning request is a separate request, so if it's rezoned ultimately by the city council, as you've asked for, to the R3 district, the only way that it could change is if the property owner asks, or the future property owner asks for a change, or the city could initiate a rezoning. That doesn't often occur, that a city would initiate a rezoning. But if it would occur after something like a change, like maybe a new master plan, or change conditions, or something to that effect. So it's a possibility that the city could in the future rezone a piece of property on their initiative. Usually you would do that as part of a broader effort, maybe multiple properties or an entire neighborhood
Like a master
district, might be changed as opposed to a single property. But the city does have the right to initiate a city rezoning, but that would also require a public hearing and notifications to the property owners and surrounding.
It was grandfathered as a non-conforming use in the city right now as it currently is being used as a duplex.
The city, the city has recognized this as a non-conforming use,
Correct. And it's a legal non-conforming use.
a legal non-conforming use.
So it's currently being rented out for $1,800 a month. Somebody was to go out and get a mortgage on it, they could probably get a mortgage on it for $1,500 a month, today's market pricing. And they could probably sublease the upstairs and offset their cost of rent. It's an affordable place to live in Linden, is my logic. If the planning commission decides not to move forward and rezone it, we completely understand. We'll move forward with probably re-renting it out again, because we won't sell it, we won't be able to.
Thank you. So we'll bring it back to the board, or the commission here, and get comments and input. We'll start down here. Brett? Any comments?
With conditional rezone, leaving the use as is, I don't have an issue with it. And if the property owner buys it, and the local service, somebody comes knocking on the door and says, hey, I want to build a dentist office right here, I'm sure they can come right back to us and we can rezone it as local service. And that's the beauty of it being, down zone, really. We have the ability to go up, and it's being limited to the single family or the duplex and the R3, so it eliminates any other uses that we would want there, as group home, things like that.
Thank you.
My thoughts are there's been folks living there in some way, shape, or form for 100 years, it sounds like. And, as long as the contingencies are in there to maintain that same environment, I don't foresee an issue at this point. It can always be changed back. If someone were to want to build a dentist office, No issue.
Are we allowed to ask that kind of question? You made a comment about, you did a land contract. You started out with an idea of a land contract. Can
We
you-
had it on under a land contract. We
For
sold the
one
property.
person or two, or how did?
One family
Okay,
lived in the house for about 4 years, 5 years.
yeah,
They had the opportunity to buy an Allen Edwin house, so they wanted a new home to the home's own hold, and they had a young family. And so we actually gave them 10 grand to walk away from it. And they were able to secure a mortgage with that down payment money we gave them, so,
okay.
because they couldn't sell the house. So, yeah.
You were selling to one person?
We were selling to one family, correct.
Have
they
you
were
ever
living
looked
in
at the
house.
idea of selling to two people, two different owners? Because it's a two different unit, really. It has two different addresses.
That's a question I'd have to ask Adam. I don't think it can be split from I think it has to be sold as one unit.
Yeah, it would have to be sold as one unit unless they did some sort of a condominium, which would be.
There's not an
pretty significant
association
process
for
to
them.
do that. I would think it would be one owner.
And I think, Adam, in Linden, with the master plan, the owner has to occupy the lower level. You cannot own you can't occupy the upper level and sell the lower level, or rent the bottom and live in the top. You have to be the other way around.
Correct, you have to live in the
No,
bottom.
there's no restriction on ownership of this property presently or if it's rezoned. It could be an out-of-state owner, for example, out-of-town owner, and it could be occupied by two different entities, upstairs and downstairs. Or
But
just
one owner.
One owner.
The owner that has it has to occupy the majority of the building is what I'm getting at.
To get a homestead exemption.
Yeah, and we don't have a requirement that the owner would have to occupy the owner does not currently occupy the unit.
Non-homestead.
Okay?
Yeah, so that would be a tax thing, the homestead, non-homestead.
I
I
just-
don't know exactly how those rules work.
I'm just using this as an example of something I've seen before. Does the old carriage house or the old fire department, and we all know where that building is, was the old carriage house on the backside of where Serendipity is?
Okay.
Is that in the same type district as what we're talking about with this gentleman's house?
No, that's a different.
It falls under a different,
That's right.
okay, thank you.
Comments, questions? The only question or comment I have is looking at the zoning map. This would be the only residential property surrounded by general, commercial, and local services. I don't know if that's an issue for us or if that's just an issue for whoever's gonna buy it, but.
Sloan owns most of the property.
Yeah, that Slow's got it around there, and then the other ones.
To the right of it is the State
Yep,
Farm
across
Insurance,
the-
which is owned by
Across the way is
David
also
Scott.
general.
And the Telmer
commercial,
on the other
and
side
then
of
the-
that.
Yep, and then the muffler man and everything, so. It's kinda like a residential island, right in the middle of everything, but other than that, I don't have an issue with it. I think it's being used as a residence, might as well keep it the same. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ted.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to fix something that isn't broke. And I think we're a small enough town still that standing on principle of a master plan, however valid, is outweighed by the continuity of rather good ownership. It's in good shape. It's a good looking house. It's not where I'd want to live. But then again, the applicant is correct that it is an affordable place to live. And as long as the surrounding commercial properties don't interfere with that feeling, who am I to change that? I have a question for you, Mr. Morgan. Given the obvious commercial development and the potential going north out of town, most obviously by the recent finish of the new dental building, and I see the other properties to the north of that springing up with for sale signs, I would think that your potential for a commercial sale is pretty obvious. Does that impact your decision at all?
The house is very old, it's a historic home, right?
Yeah.
So as somebody in a historic role, I mean, you can appreciate the fact that bulldozing a house that's got a mission field so basement would be a loss of value, I think, in the community. As old as it is, as ugly it is, as out of place as it is, in some people's eyes, it's still a gem for some people that are buying their first home.
Okay.
So I'm a business owner. I could move my office over there and, tear the thing down, like I said, and make a new office look like the dentist office across the street, but I don't think that's really a great thing to have a bunch of new buildings.
Okay. So there's an emotional desire for the continuity of the structure because of its history.
Yeah,
That's-
I think
that's
I think it's a nice single family, I think it's a nice home for somebody to buy, and then again, sublease that upstairs and have an affordable place to live.
Okay, good to know. No other questions?
Thank you.
I mean, following up on that, has anyone ever shown interest in
No.
buying it
No,
for commercial purposes?
So when we took it back from land contract, and we bought it back, so to speak, we decided we were gonna list it and just kind of walk away from it, because the market had appreciated. And then, had 2 deals fall through because of the same thing that I talked about, mortgage company, and so we went to another mortgage officer, same, State Bank wouldn't do it in-house either at the time we had State Bank, so, to do a portfolio loan, so banks wanted nothing to do with the house. A commercial loan, you put 25% down, get a commercial loan on the property, but again, for most people, it's not feasible. No one's ever asked me that, hey, can I open a permitted use in the local service district? The permitted uses are, a credit union, a dentist office, a veterinarian clinic, both of what you have across the street. You can open an alcohol sale. You can open the funniest one was a gun shop to me. It's like, those aren't things we want either. So there was a lot of proposed amendments in the language that was proposed to the city council that you guys worked very hard on, and the most thankless job in America is the volunteerism, but it's very much appreciated, as I know that you guys put a lot of work into that. So I hope that, it goes here. It sounds like there's approval, but I hope it moves up and people understand the validity of the points.
Jerry?
Yeah, and this was zoned LS at the time of purchase, is that correct?
Beg your pardon?
The zoning was, at the time of your purchase, was
I don't know.
local service?
Time to purchase.
I don't know when that was
We didn't ask.
zoned
We
at
just
that
thought we were
time.
a good deal.
I can tell you for sure that it's been zoned LS since, I think the zoning map was 2003, 2004.
Okay, all right.
So
I know at least for 20 years.
Yeah, and it was 2015,
we acquired the property in 2015. I didn't ask what it was zoned because it was a house, so I assumed it was a residential house. I didn't realize I didn't even know what a local service district was, as do most people in America, probably not either.
Okay. That's really the only question I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It seems to me, just on what I've seen in my experience, at some point down the road, as the city grows, that property would be worth more commercial. But
And if
keeps
anybody
going
wants
that
to
way.
build a building there, then it's for sale.
Other than that, if somebody's living there and it's a single dwelling home, I don't have a problem with that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have anything further to add. Everything seems sound, and it seems like a good thing to go with. And like everyone else has said, look ahead down the road to hopefully seeing an opportunity that meets the master plan in the long run. All right, so do we have a motion? Would anybody like to bring up a motion on this?
Here's the third page. All right, Mr. Chair. With regard to requested submitted by property owner no mortgage rezone 1013 North Bridge Street from LS Local Service to the R3 Single Family Residential District, in consideration of the condition voluntarily offered by the applicant in his letter dated December 15, 2025, move forward a recommendation of approval to the city council upon findings that the conditional rezoning request does satisfy review standards of section 105.03E of the city zoning ordinance, specifically as the points noted in the review letter. While it may not be exactly R3 compatible, it does help. It maintains our goal of protecting essential quality of established neighborhoods, provide very and high quality housing, meet our persons of all ages, supports affordable housing, retains existing business use, if it was business use going to be there, but promotes the development of new businesses in the defined location because it allows them to change it to an LS in the future. I don't believe this rezoning would stop anything from that. So a new commercial and mixed use development occurs, considers upper for residential population and target county business district. Objective number 3 would fall into play. But because this can be upzoned later, the recommendations of our planner, I agree with. So, even with those recommendations of the Wade Trim letter.
I'll support that.
All right.
And who is support?
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay,
This should be a roll call vote.
can we get a roll call vote, please?
Hartraft,
Yes.
Hurst,
Yes.
Steele,
Yes.
Horn,
Yes.
Wines,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes.
Link,
No,
Robler,
Yes.
Malinowicz.
No.
Motion passes 7-2.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 9, commissioner comments and reports. Does anybody have any, commissioners have any reports? Anything they'd like to share out? I'll start down on this end this time. I want to play favorite. No.
I'm good.
The only thing I would like to add is, liaison to the Historic District Commission is that just as an FYI, obviously the mill renovation is underway. They've run into a couple of discovery issues, which are significant, but will not, as far as I have been told, significantly delay the completion. Or the existing accepted design of the renovation. So, cross your fingers that further investigation, especially below the water line, will not add to those delays or expense. The project is moving forward.
Any comments?
My question.
Brett?
Welcome Jerry and George.
Yes.
Look forward to it.
I have nothing further to add, so it is 7:48 p.m. and I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you to everybody that showed up.